Hi guys, my name is Christina and welcome to my channel and welcome to yet another episode of the podcast. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really good with the podcast, and the thing is, the reason why I wasn't as good with the podcast, I actually skipped, I think, 2 weeks again or something like that. The reason being is that I was actually working on the actual comic and I was really deep into this work, and I knew that if I didn't want to disrupt the process, stepping out of the process to actually do the voiceover and record the podcast. So that's actually the reason. And I'm gonna talk more in this episode about what does it take to actually complete works, and we're gonna talk about all of this actually. So yeah, I was not doing so great with the podcast, unfortunately. And thing is like, this podcast of every video on my YouTube channel, the podcast, actually my most favorite videos to create, because I get to talk with not scripted, not like that my other videos are too scripted, but I don't have to have a very robust, crazy plan, and I can just really talk about what I'm the most passionate about in my current drawing process. And I can actually talk to you very honestly about what I'm thinking about certain drawing situation, what I think is helping me, troubles that I'm having and whatnot. So I feel, to me personally, that this is something that is the most valuable, and this is something that I just enjoy sharing. This is just I don't care where this YouTube channel goes. This is the type of videos that I love recording, and I don't know. But the thing, this is something that I actually wanted to talk to you about in this particular episode. First, just let you know what we guys doing in this episode. In this episode, as you see, I start working actually on this page from scratch, and this is the first page of the whole chapter 9. I've been already working on chapter 9 with you for some time. At this point, you've seen me drawing actually even lines for this chapter and now drawing colors for this chapter. But you haven't seen me drawing in color the actual first page chronologically, and this is this page. And I just quickly gonna comment on what I'm doing here. Usually, as you guys know, when I start working on a new page, and I have a video that I recently posted that is all about page from start to finish type of thing. But overall, my standard procedure is that I create these base colors for the characters as per usual, and I throw in the backgrounds. And already, as you can see, the panels start looking better. They start looking like something, like the page you can see was gonna emerge on this page already. And this is something that I absolutely love seeing. That gives me so much motivation, because I already can see kind of the future of this page and how this page is going to look like, and this is always motivating for me. Then I take my time creating the bubbles. I have a whole video about the bubbles, but basically I draw them by hand, and I absolutely enjoy doing this. Before I used to be wondering if there is some software that you can create bubbles with, and I'm pretty sure there is a softwares and whatnot, but I didn't figure out it back then, and I started drawing my bubbles by hand, and I really enjoyed, because I feel I have so much control over these bubbles. And I don't know, it's just a certain moment when I'm creating a page, you just draw a bubble. It's so relaxing. Not so much of a creative process like painting. It's almost like color book. I don't know. It's really enjoyable for me to create my bubbles. So after the bubbles are completed, this is where the actual painting begins. And it's not very often that in these episodes I show you the absolute start of working on the page. Usually I'm sometime in the middle, but this time it's the beginning, and it's always a combination of me trying to decide the lines that I usually have, the base that I have from lines, from the outlining the pages. It's literally not that helpful when I start drawing colors. It's almost like I'm redrawing the thing and ignoring the lines. Lines is something that just helps me understand what is where everything is positioned. However, when I started drawing in color, I try to paint over the lines. I sometimes change the outline a little bit, so they're kind of like the general idea of what's supposed to be happening. But when I'm drawing with colors, I'm more now it's a final version, and it can be subject to change. So every time I'm drawing with a color, I feel like it's like a second version of the drawing. It's not like the lines that they progress to color. It's like the line is the first version of how people are standing, what they're wearing, like the different like dynamic of their poses and whatnot. I feel it's like the first pass, and then when I'm starting working in color, this is the second pass, and this is almost like overlay, and I'm doing different version on top of it. And so lines, they don't really matter that much. As you can see, like I use also kind of like a line technique when I'm drawing with colors for the comic. So I like to have, as you guys can see, like when I'm drawing, for example, her outfit, like Juria's outfit, I have pretty harsh line-ish effects on the edges. I have the one on her contour on the left, and I have some when her shoulder is, like I don't mind using kind of line effect or using color to do something like a line work, something more graphic, rather than actual just painting. Like the painting traditionally wouldn't be so hard on lines or creating edges or something like this. That's something that I'm doing particularly for my comic, because when you're creating something in the style that I'm doing, very important thing to make things recognizable, coherent, and so people see what's being drawn, is to make sure your reader understands right away what is the background, what is the environment, and what is the subject, where is the character. And to me, ideally, when you're creating like traditional art or just normal painting in more or less realistic style, how it is achieved, it is achieved by putting hours and hours and hours in the work and getting all the shades so right and so correct, that creates the proper effect, how things actually look in real life, so that we recognize it in our brain, is able to determine what is what, and like we see separation between the background and the character right away, because we draw everything so accurately. We got all the shadows very accurately, we got all the reflexes, bounce lights, everything. We got it, like we spent a lot of time doing that. However, in my comic I have to do some sort of like a sacrifice over here, or like a compromise, because I'm drawing this kind of like more or less realistic style, the style that is more realistic that most comics are done in. However, it's still a comic, and I still have to produce it as like with a reasonable amount of speed. So I have to create certain kind of like cheat tricks that will help me to get certain basic things right. Like for example, separate the character from background easily, so when the reader is looking, they immediately see the characters, they said what is character, what the background, what is head, what is else. Like, because in real life, when you see fragments of certain elements, unless they're drawn very, very perfectly without the context of the whole image, it's hard to understand sometimes what is what. And the thing is, with a comic, sometimes you don't have the context of the whole image. Sometimes you have panels that are extreme close-ups, and it's just this kind of weird mix when, even though you're drawing in more or less realistic style, you have to still create some sort of simplification and some sort of stylization to make it decently fast. Not maybe fast is a crazy word for my speed, but to make yourself able to create it with a reasonable speed. So this is something that, as you can see, for example, now I'm drawing mouth, and I feel like I'm still using a lot of lines. And yeah, that's something that I thought I'll point out. It's just because as I'm doing it, I'm really aware that it's not very traditional way of painting when you're painting like in the style such as mine, but it's something that I default to get things more readable in less amount of time. So yeah. And also in this chapter, this is always a challenge for me, and I'm pretty sure I was talking in a previous episode about several challenges that always arise when I'm drawing new scenes and whatnot. But challenge that always happens is every time if I have a character that I'm drawing for the first time, and it doesn't matter if this character is just being introduced, it is the character to stay, or if it is a character that's going to just appear in this particular scene and then we're never going to see this character ever again. It really doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is that the hardest part is not to draw the character that is like just episodic. The challenge is when you're starting to draw a character that you've never drawn before, and you need to draw this character coherent and recognizable and looking the same throughout several pages, throughout several panels. And again, it doesn't matter if this character is important or not important. Actually, when I have my characters appearing, it doesn't matter if the character is there just for the scene and then we're never going to see this character again. I take the same care as I would with a character that is important and gonna stay in the story, because I don't want to draw one character better than another character, or have one character have more details than another character. I want them all to be like equal in that regard, and I want the character just to stand out only because of like how they relate to the story. Like, they stay in the story because they're important with the story, and the story needs them to be there. They're part of whatever story I'm talking about. So that's the only difference, and like, because of their personality, because of their relation to the characters, because of the plot, world building, whatever the reason they're staying, most of the reasons that the story cannot, like, they're part of the story, this particular one that I decided to talk about in this world. But yeah, so I don't want it to be separated by the way they look like. I don't want to get a character that is episodic and just think, oh, they probably just will have blue eyes and this type of hair, and they're gonna have, I don't know, that's it. I don't really like this approach. I like to put thought in each of the characters that is appearing. I like to kind of think about them overall as a person, why they might have certain choice of clothes, what is their... In the story of my world, you have this concept as craft, and craft is basically your job in this world. And in the North particularly, they don't have monetary system, and it's the way how you blend into the society and what craft you provide to the society, and then society provides back to you. But obviously there is like a separation between which craft they considered more difficult to learn, more prestigious, more valuable, all of that. But basically you are wearing these badges that show the craft that you have, the skill that you have, and what you bring to the society and how you contribute. And the badges also communicating like the level that you have, as well as hair. The way hair are done, it corresponds with what type of level you are at, like depending on what hairstyle you're wearing, that's your status within a society also. For example, if you're wearing bangs, you're considered to be still like doing errands, when your hair on front kind of like chopped off. And then braids are considered to be some sort of apprentice or somebody who is serving someone directly. And then ponytails, they have other meaning attached, and depending what area of your head is used to have a hairdo, it also communicates a lot. Also, how much your hair are covered communicates your status. The more covered your hair are, the more responsibility in managing kind of responsibilities you have. And the idea is the hair, they represent freedom for the Northerners, and your free will and whatnot. So the more they put away, the more it indicates that you don't have your own personal say in your craft and in your life at this point. So if you're managing, it's really not about you at this point. Your focus is on a lot of people, and you don't really have a lot of personal freedom, because now you're linked with this job that you're doing, which is all about taking care of this group of people. And the only people who get to wear their hair loose is very, very young children and elderly people who now don't have any responsibilities to the society. Now the society provides back to them for their service. So that's the whole thing that I'm doing. And I'm sorry guys if you can hear police cars in the back. I have my windows open. Usually my microphone is pretty good with isolating background sound, but I suspect that it will have troubles isolating this sirens. I'm very sorry. It's like in Canada, I don't know, every time you call 911, they just dispatch everybody, no matter what your situation is. It's like every car in the area will come your way. You will have like a bunch of cars, and if anything happens, it's like car after car after car with a siren just keeps going. So, which is good, I guess, except for the sound situation. But yeah, sorry guys if it's annoying you a little bit. So yeah, so this is the kind of like the concept, like a brief idea of how certain aspects of the culture of the North work. And if I have a character that is appearing, I like to think about those things. I like to think, what is this person's craft? Or if they're a child, what craft they're going for, what they wish they were going for, what is their status in society right now. I'm decided which hairstyle they will have. For example, this guy he still has bangs, but at the same time his hair are allowed to be grown. So usually if you are just kind of like not a servant, but you're just doing errands, which all kids do. This is kind of like their part job. All kids like do small errands. So they have bangs and their hair usually chopped off mid neck level, and only when they get their first badge and when they kind of have some sort of craft assigned to them, only then they get to start growing their hair to get them into whatever hairstyle is corresponding with where they're going. And usually, typically, the first one you will get is the braid, because you will be apprentice of some sort or will be working directly for somebody helping them out. So I keep thinking that this guy still have bangs because he's still doing some errands, but at this point he already earning his braid. And I'm thinking about his badge. There is a certain kind of like shapes, general shapes of the badges that you can have depending on different areas that you're doing. So round badges usually have something to do with languages and writing and all of that. There is a subgroups of all of those badges within the category. So for example, this boy, he's just basically working with information. He putting things down, organizing things. This is kind of what he's doing right now. Croy, the other character that I have, like the guy you probably see a lot in my drawing, the one with a very long hair, he's a storyteller. Storyteller considered to be high craft, extremely prestigious, extremely hard to learn. And he also have round badge because it's also connected with languages and writing and whatnot, but his craft is from there on completely different. His badge has some differences even though being round, so it's like a still very different social standing, but kind of the same category of badges. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but basically this is something that I really want to keep in mind, to keep thinking like who the characters are, who they are in the society, how they're feeling in their own place in society, what do they feel about who they are. Like, for example, this boy, I feel like he is very eager to be who he is. He's very eager to do what his badge lets him do. And he is usually, I assume, like a lot of kids are very excited to finally get some sort of identity in society because of what they can do. So, and like how they dress then. Are they dressed neatly? Are they dressed like crazy? Like, for example, their clothes are all like just folded or not. I don't know, it's not put together nicely. And just this is something that I like to think about all of my characters, and I just don't like thinking, oh, the eye color this, the eye color that, or they have scar across that like cheek. I like to think why they got this scar, what they're feeling about this scar, what type of scar it is. It's like something cut them, something burned them. I don't know. Like, this is something that I always keep in mind, and it's always a challenge. So if the character, you start drawing this character, I mean, you're just starting for the scene, you haven't drawn this character before, but you have to work through all of those things and things that not gonna be even in writing for this character. It's not like in that text, like you will not be having dialogue with this character, we're gonna spell something out. It's something that you have to keep in mind, like, for example, again, how they're feeling about their badge, how they're feeling about what they're doing. It's something that you, me, have to keep in mind and transmit from panel to panel, from page to page. So not only the looks of the character stay the same, but also the essence of the character kind of stays consistent from page to page, from panel to panel. And this is always a challenge because it's not about the consistency that you need to transmit. It's about you have to get a solid grasp about who the character is. And I like to do it like with all sorts of characters. I said, even episodic characters like this boy, I don't expect this boy appearing ever again. This boy is kind of there to show a little bit how the world works. Like, for example, Juria, she is a matron to be. She is her grandmother is a matron for the village, and she also takes a lot of responsibility. And this boy is helping her to put down names. They're putting down names of people of the neighborhood village who died, and they currently, like, the souls or whatever spirits just recently returned, and they're putting it all together. So I just wanted to have to show how something like this would work, how they would organize something like this. And this is why the boy is there. Plus the boy is there to establish a little bit of what is called childish spells. It's like the magic that protects children until they're grown. So this is like very small things, but in any case, this character, this boy, he's an episodic character, but I still have to know all of that to make him look right from panel to panel. And this what makes it not a tricky but kind of, yeah, not so easy. It's not something that flows very easily. So every time I have some new character appearing, it's slowing me down for the scene, hands down, 100%. So yeah, it was a very long tangent, but basically, yes, this is what the podcast for. I'm telling you exactly the kitchen of what is going on here. And as I promised in the beginning of the video, I kind of want to talk to you about what it takes to actually finish pages. And inside of me skipping a couple of my podcast episodes. And that's kind of okay. On this channel, I talk a lot about productivity. I talk a lot about how to motivate yourself. I talk a lot about like step by step, like how to draw a page, how to do certain things. And there is one thing that I haven't been talking about as explicitly, and I feel like a lot of channels and a lot of videos where people talk about similar things like me and trying to encourage people to draw more, to finish their project, to write more and whatnot. I feel like something like this is not like overlooked. Maybe overlooked is the right word, but because it's not focused enough on, and this is the most important part. The thing is, no matter how much hacks you're gonna read, learn, whatever, apply, it doesn't matter. Like, obviously all of those hacks help, like all the advices that I tell you about how to be motivated, all the advices I tell you how to manage your times, they will help you, and everything about, you know, how to be inspired and how to keep going, it's all gonna help. But the thing is, the ultimately the thing that keeps things done, or not that keeps, that gets things done and keep things progressing and keep your story or your comic or your project completed or moving forward, it's you showing up and you sitting on the chair in front of that computer or in front of this piece of paper, whatever media you are using, in doing it. And it means doing it as much as you possibly can. And it doesn't mean doing it when you want to do it. It's you really just have to do it. It's not about, I'm not saying like doing it when you don't want to do it. It's not like you hate doing it right now. Ideally, you don't hate doing these things. But you know, in all art, that it's the moment where you can't help yourself, but you really want to draw. You really want to write. Like, this is really something that you want to do. They're rare, those moments, actually. It's more often you don't want to do it, but you want to live in the story. You want to think about the story. You want to wonder about the story. The story calls you. You want to be in the world of your story. You want to think about it, fantasize a bit about it, or write or draw the most epic moments, or like just start drawing some epic moment. But those, like, that's usually what you want to do. But in every story, given that we're not thinking about standalone art, we're talking about either writing or comics, like something like this, those moments, like most of the times when you're going to be working on it, you're going to be drawing something like something that you see me doing in those podcasts. For example, drawing an ear for an hour, or drawing a button, or drawing hair again and again and again on each panel, or drawing this new character that's going to appear for just a couple of scenes and it's going to forever disappear, and thinking about this character's backstory, the inner process, the inner struggle, whatnot. And that's what it is. And a lot of the times, like when you sit in front of the computer, you don't go and like, oh my god, let me just get to this epic scene, oh my god, that's so like intense. No, most of the time, you know, you're getting back to the computer to finish drawing character's leg, to finish the panel and finally finish the damn page. And it's, I mean, it's the thing. I feel like the struggle can be is synthesizing that this is those small things that don't seem to be super significant while you're creating them. This is what makes your story. And a lot of the time, I feel like when people say that they don't feel motivated enough or whatnot, is that they think that drawing is something different. They think it's all about like constant inspiration and like flow of excitement. No, a lot of the time it's just doing the job and getting job done. It's like doing your dishes. You know, you're not excited about getting dishes done, but you're pretty much sure feeling good when your place is clean, right? But like you're not getting there and thinking, oh my god, I just like the dishes. It's like I just can't wait to wash my dishes today. No, you show up and you're probably neutral. It's or sometimes like it's a job that needs to be done. Then you come around, you put like some podcasts on, you start thinking about certain things, you may put music on, and then just slowly as things get cleaned out, you have this feeling of satisfaction that things getting done and things getting done. And a lot of the time, just the key ingredient of getting something done and getting your book completed, getting your comic completed, is to just showing up, sitting there, and doing the thing. And it is that in 90% of the time. And there is no magic ingredient in the end. Obviously, I can give you all the advice I can do on motivation, on productivity, and whatnot. But this is the most important ingredient. You have to be there to do the work. And you have to understand that this is like, it is work. It is, if you're gonna treat art or like your creative process, like I'm not talking about again standalone small, about creating stories, something like a long form of something. If you're gonna keep thinking about it as something that you only gonna do when you have inspiration, where you want to do it, you will never, ever, ever complete it. Moreover, you will never even go past 10% of it, because that's a wrong mentality to have. Because this is a lot of work. This is hard work, and this work that takes a lot of time, and you cannot be successful at it until you see it for what it is. And for me, sometimes, like especially lately, I've been kind of very busy with a lot of things. Like my day job was pretty not demanding. Like it wasn't that the time that sometimes my day job makes me stay overtime. It wasn't that. Like I'm doing a lot of things for my day job now, so I have like a two jobs in my day job, and they all require my attention. And there was also traveling that I've been doing, and there was other things that I had to put my focus on. So it's still draw, but I wouldn't draw as much as I typically need to get the progress that I want to. And for me, because I've been creating my comic for a very long time, like for me, this idea of just working hard on something, working on something every day as much as I can to make it every day, is, to me, this idea is normal. This is not something that I have to kind of adapt to. And sometimes, to me, it's kind of like opposite situation where I don't get to work as much as I want. It's like I get nervous and I get frustrated, and I want to dedicate more time to my project. And sometimes it's like something that I have to balance the freelances that I have, or like some other work that I have in my comic that I want to do. And sometimes I have to do cuts in my life and like see, okay, what is the most important thing? Sometimes I have to cut friends. Sometimes I have to cut some social engagement. Sometimes I have to cut certain freelances. Sometimes I have to make these choices and remind myself, Christina, what are you doing at this point? What is the most important for you to do to earn this, to earn this extra $500 by spending this couple hours, or like just to keep good relationship with this person just in case, or creating your comic. And this is something that I was a little reassessing. And for me, it's also because I'm doing a lot of things, including YouTube. It's something that also I'm doing, and I'm passionate about it. But at the same time, comic is still my priority, and I wanted to get more deep into it and just spend a couple of days when I dedicate like nonstop hours and hours and hours working on it, which typically on the work day, I would still put like an hour or two into the comic. On the weekend, I would put like 2 to 3 hours into the comic, but it's not enough. Like during chapter 5, I would put more. I would put like constantly 2 hours after work, and I would put maybe like 4 hours or a little bit maybe more on the weekend each day. So I made this effort to actually draw more out of everything that I'm doing. Obviously, day job is a day job. It's something that is important, and I love my day job. To finish day job when day job is finishes, and then get straight in my comic, and everything else comes after it. And before, it was not really as clear. And for example, I know that I was finishing maybe 4 pages a week, and it's okay. Like 4 pages is like a bare minimum that I need to do, because I'm posting with the speed 4 pages. Oh no, still 4 pages per week. Wow, that would be great for 4 pages per month. And for me, it's a bare minimum because I'm posting a page per week. So this is kind of how much I have to produce. But I like to produce more, and I had to kind of have this reminder for myself. It's like, well, if you want to produce more, you gotta work on this more. And I'm not complaining by any means, like I love my comic, but it's just understanding that it has to be your priority and you have to get it more serious. And again, I'm sure I'm pretty serious about my comic anyway. It's just sometimes, life throws a little bit more things at us and there's more of our time taken, and we have to reassess because we start acting as if we don't have all of these new things in our life that demand our time, and we expect the time work the same it used to be before, but you have to reassess. So this is kind of where I was for this couple weekends, and I was like, no, I want to get as much comic done as I want first, and then every other project comes second, including YouTube. That is about my comics, so it's a little confusing, but I hope you're getting the gist. But so yeah, I was like, for the past we had a long weekend just now, and I really enjoyed drawing. And now, if the work is done, when the day job is done, I'm also working on my comic. And it's again, it's kind of like what I usually do anyway, but this time it's like I'm making sure I'm putting hours in. I'm like, this is literally the priority of what I'm doing. And this feels good for it to be a priority, because another thing, it's almost, I feel sometimes a lot of pressure for this not to be a priority, because people are like, oh, maybe you have to do some more hustle, like something like build some business that directly, immediately brings you money, or maybe you need to go socialize, or you need to spend time out, or you need going out type of thing, not like out in the nature. That's something that I do a lot. I like outside all the time, biking and just sometimes sitting in parks and drawing there. But it's like almost like sometimes I feel a pressure that the world is telling you what should be your priority. And it's almost sometimes I have to remind myself and say, no, like for me though, my comic is my priority. And also remind myself not to go chase like dollars here and there for like freelance and say, wait, no. Sometimes you have to say no to that and be like, actually, I want to work on my comic. That's important for me. So, and I want to put a lot of hours in there. I don't know if this ramble makes sense, but again, on this podcast, I like to share with you guys everything that is kind of going on in my head. And that's like rounds back to this idea. In order to get something done, the rule number one is to work and get work on getting it done and put hours into it. Nothing gets done without this attitude, really. And I feel like, especially with art, it's very confusing for people who enjoyed art when they were kids, and then they're grown up. And I feel there is some sort of confusion, because it's almost like they expect art to be easy and only enjoyable. It is enjoyable, but it is still work. It's not painful and horrible to work on art. It's enjoyable because this is something that you like doing, but at the same time, it's still work. It's still hours put in. It's still dedication that you have to have. It's still discipline that you have to have. And you cannot treat art as just, oh my God, I just love it. Like, it's not going to take you anywhere. And a lot of things will not be finished. And you will end up with a lot of sketches and a lot of work that are not finalized, or especially if you want to have something like a project, like a comic, it will never get past certain point, or you will just end up drawing your most favorite moments. And I just feel like that's something that creeps in nowadays society. I see a lot of it. People want things to be easy. People want things to be fast. And if something is not fast and easy, people say, oh, I guess it's just not for me. I notice a lot of this, and this is the wrong expectation from something like art. If you have any media that you consume, any media that you like, it took a long time for creators of this media to do that. And sometimes it took like a lot of creative people to make something happen, like movie or TV show. And and a lot of the time, like, trust, like, all the hacks that I give you, they're working, but all of the hacks that I give you, they're more about mental, how to keep you working on what you're working on, and the real answer is just work. Like, you have to work on it, and you cannot escape this truth. So yeah, I guess this is kind of like the message that I have for this video. And yeah, sorry guys if it's I don't know, is it a downer? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I just feel like sometimes I want to be this tough love person who gonna tell you to suck it up, buttercup. And the fact that there is no shortcut to getting something like art or a comic done. There is really no shortcut. It's not like it's not that. Like, if you're shortcutting that, you're doing a bad job. It's not gonna be as good. And because you can't, you have to be present there 24/7. There is definitely ways to work faster, and I have videos about how to work faster and videos about how to save time. Like, for example, my very favorite thing with creating backgrounds separately, but it's not like a shortcut. It's as well as it's like as much a efficiency tool as it is a quality control tool, you know? So it's kind of serves both purposes. So it's, yeah, so this is my whole spiel for today. And it's just about, you just have to work, and you have to accept the idea of working. And I guess maybe why I'm so passionate about this is because in my life, I do tend to meet a lot of artists, and a lot of artists who just don't get it. And they just think that they're not feeling inspired, or they're not feeling like the strong emotion. But it's not what art is about. It's like the comparison, you know, like when you're a teenager and you have a crush versus when you're adult and you build like actual relationships. Like, that's, you know, that's a difference. One is a dysfunctional, weird thing that just keeps you high, and another one is something tangible that actually works and actually is valuable, you know. And it's kind of like this, I feel like people like to have this vibe of just feeling high on emotion, is super excited, and just, you know, everything is easy and everything is intense. And I don't know, I can rant about all of that, and I just feel like media these days just provides the outlet for that. And just, you know, everything kind of suggests that this is the kind of the best way to go about life. Just feel all the emotions and have everything fast, immediately, like whatever you want, you get it right away, instead of building something. But again, something like story isn't gonna get built. But yeah, so I'm gonna stop this rant right now, and let's see what I'm gonna talk about for the next episode, because I actually don't know. I have this moments of thinking about art and creativity, and what does it mean, and how hard work fits into it. And yeah, I don't know. So prepare yourself. I have no idea what's coming for the next episode, but I hope you guys been good all this time, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you guys. Bye.